Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. I am very excited to share with you some ideas made with the September 2019 Bon Appetit Paper Pumpkin Kit. So this kit comes with the supplies and instructions to make 20 treat boxes. Now I have young children, and treat boxes are perfect for Halloween because they sometimes need to bring treats to a class party, or they want to send a special treat to a friend. And so I might purchase another kit so I can make more treat boxes. But I do know that some of you would rather have cards for Halloween. So I went ahead and made some alternate cards using the supplies, plus a little extra from my stash in my craft room, to create these cute Halloween cards. Don't forget to subscribe for the next paper pumpkin. October's kit is going to include 10 cards and envelopes, and November's kit contains 24 tags with 4 different designs, and these will be perfect for your Christmas holiday. You can find the link to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin in the description below. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how I made all 3 cards. So let's go ahead and get started with this first one. So all 3 cards are made with 2 treat boxes. What I did is I took a pair of scissors, and on one side you'll notice that there's a seam, and instead of breaking the seam, I just cut along it. Okay, so do that to both. And then you're going to open it up, and you're going to use a paper cutter, and you're just trimming off these pieces so that we have a nice long rectangular shape. And these extra pieces can just get thrown away. So do that to both. All right, so you'll notice that it's kind of, we have our creases from when it was a box. So we're going to cut right in the middle where it hasn't been creased, and it will give us 2 pieces that are about 4 inches wide. So 4 by 2 is the final size. Okay, so now we're going to make 3 cards. One of our card is going to have 2 of the pattern paper, and then each one will have its own card. Okay, so we have our supplies. So some of the extra things that I'm using. So I'm using Pumpkin Pie Cardstock, and for all 3 cards I needed 2 sheets, 8.5 by 11 sheets, and then cut into a card, and then a card front, so a card base and a card front in pumpkin pie. And then I've got some Basic Black Cardstock and a 1-inch strip cut into flags on both sides of the black. And you can find all the measurements for the cards in the description below. I also wanted to use some vellum, so I cut a circle, and this circle is, let's measure it. So it's just shy of 2 3/4 inches across, and it's from the layered circle dies. So you can go ahead and cut yourself one of those. And then I'm also using some Blackberry Bliss Twine that comes in the pack, and you can find this in the main catalog. And it's a little thick for what I wanted, and so I'm just going to twist against the grain and pull out. So it will separate into 3 strands, and you're just going to pull one of those out. And then we'll use the other 2 for the other 2 cards. Okay. So let's go ahead and assemble some pieces. So we're just placing the card front right on top of the card base without anything extra added. And then the black, solid black goes down next. And we're just going to do this at an angle, kind of in the middle. And then take a polka dot and a stripe, and the polka dot goes down after that. And this one just kind of goes at an angle on the left side. And then the stripes. And that just goes up on top a little high at an angle on the right side. And then you go ahead and add the strip of Basic Black, and that just goes right in the middle to kind of hide those creases. Okay, well, where did our vellum? There it is. So then our vellum is next. And vellum is tricky when you use it. You want your adhesive to kind of be hidden. So that just goes right in the middle. So you see that you can see that vellum, the adhesive through the vellum. So we need to make sure that we hide that. Oh, you know what? I did this backwards. So let's just pull these things off really quick. It should come off pretty easy. Okay, so we actually put the vellum down first, and then we place this on top, and that is to hide the adhesive. There. Okay. So now we need some pieces from our kit. And I love, excuse me, I love paper pumpkin kits because they always give us a little extra. So we are using one of these tags, and we're going to use the purple tag, and we are using a small vellum piece and a skeleton hand and a skeleton body. And a clothespin. So the only thing we need to stamp is the Happy Halloween. Excuse me, my voice. And so we'll do that last. So let's go ahead and put these pieces together. So I'm going to start with just this tag. So I'm making this tag. And it's got lots of layers. So I'm going to put down the vellum piece just on the right side of the tag. And then I'm going to take my skeleton body and add some dimensionals. And I love that in this kit they've given us the black mini dimensionals so that we can use them and kind of hide them against the other black things. Sometimes those white dimensionals show up. And we're just going to place this. My voice was fine until I started this video. Just going to place this right here so that his body, his head is kind of creeping off and his legs are still on. And then we're going to add the bone hand, skeleton hand, just over this circle, just to kind of hide that open circle. And I think next we're going to go ahead and create this circle of ribbon. Or twine, excuse me. So just wrap it around your hand. And I've cut 24 inches of twine. So that's how long that is. And next, let's use a little bit of snail just on these edges, just to add to adhere this down. And then we're going to add some dimensionals on the back of this. And we're just going to put it on one side because our other side has this clothespin on it. Actually, let's go ahead and add one to the hand just to kind of help that have some support. Okay, and this kind of goes at an angle. And the last thing we need to do is add our clothespin over that hand and our greeting. So let's go ahead and stamp that. I've got some scrap paper and my paper piercing pad, and this is great for using the paper pumpkin kits because you get a nice clean image every time. And we're just going to use the Happy Halloween. It's super tiny and cute, fits perfectly on these little metallic labels. And you're going to use the gorgeous Grape ink that comes in your kit and just stamp that in the center. And then add 2 dimensionals to the back. And so everything's kind of at an angle, so I'm going to try to place my Happy Halloween straight, which is kind of tricky when my eye gets confused with all the other elements. So there we go. So card number 1 is done. It uses a lot of the elements from the kit with just a couple things from your craft stash. Okay, let's go ahead and do card number 2. So this is card number 2. And let's grab the things we need. So again, we're using pumpkin pie as our card base. And I like to use card bases that we can write on. So if we were to use a black card base, that would be difficult to write a message on the inside. And then we do need a card front, and we're going to be doing some stamping on that. So grab your paper piercing mat, and we're going to use pumpkin pie ink. Okay, so go ahead and put your 2 cute skeleton images on one of your blocks. And I am using a D block. And so what I've done is on one side, I've placed it on the left side, one of the images, and then when I flip it, I place another one on the left side so that I can rotate through the images as I'm stamping, because I want both of these cute guys on my card. So as you can see, we have covered about 1/3 of the card, so we don't really need to stamp in that area. We do want it to kind of peek out. So just kind of start stamping. And you can see that I'm changing my images by rotating my block so that I'm getting some different, all the different skeleton guys. There we go. Maybe we'll put one more right around here, a little higher. Okay, so you can see I've stamped those, and they're just on the left side, kind of on the top of my card front. Okay, so let's go ahead and add these things to our card. And then we're just going to be using one of the pieces from our treat box. And that just goes at the bottom. If you have any little white pieces that are sticking out, then just trim those off. Sometimes that happens with my paper cutter. And then we've got an 1/8 of an inch piece of cardstock that's 4 1/4. And this is just to kind of run along this top edge. Next, we've got some gorgeous Grape cardstock, and it's in 1 inch, and we've just flagged the ends. And then we need some pieces from the kit. So let's go ahead and go through those and find what we need. So we're going to use another label and another skeleton hand. And I thought I had a loose, there it is, a spider web and a Vellum circle, and then one of the black tacks. So let's go ahead and work on the tag. Now I want this tag to have its circle in there, and I don't want it coming out. So I'm going to grab some of the glue dots that came in the kit, and I'm just going to go over 2 sides of this circle, and I'm not taking off the paper. And that's just going to hold that circle so it doesn't pop out. Okay, do you see how I did that? There, I think that shows it pretty well. Okay. All right, so then next I've got my vellum. And this vellum piece is tricky because you're gonna see a lot of the vellum, and so we can't use snail on it. I did in my example, and you can see the adhesive right through the vellum. So we're going to stick that to the left or to the right of the tag, and then we're going to add the spider web that's made out of bones. And one side has kind of a brown edge to it, and I'm going to make that the back. And I'm just going to kind of lightly run some snail over. If you have some liquid adhesive, that would work too. And I'm just going to try to pull out any adhesive that's kind of been in between instead of on the paper. Okay, I'm going to do this at an angle and place that down kind of in the center of my vellum piece. Okay. And then before we add this to our card, we're going to run some snail along the back. We're going to take another piece of this Blackberry Bliss Twine, and wrap it around our hand. So this is 24 inches. And then you're going to take it and twist it once in the middle, kind of even it out a little bit, and then you're going to just add it, let's go this way, to the back, like that. Okay, and now we can add some dimensionals. I'm going to go ahead and put one over this on the top, kind of over the hole, so it holds that piece in a little bit better, and then a couple at the bottom. And then I am actually going to add one right here, kind of hide it. Let's see, yeah, just a little one coming onto the vellum, just to kind of help it adhere there. I think that it will be hidden for the most part. Okay, so that goes down at an angle, and then the hand kind of slides in underneath. And then the last thing is our greeting. And I wanted to use the Bon Appetit stamp because I thought it fit perfectly with the card, with all the cute bones on the card. Use the gorgeous grape that comes in the kit. And put it in the middle of that label. And then we're just going to place this kind of at the bottom. And so this part can have snail or glue dot, and this part will need a dimensional. So just kind of keep which side. All right, and again, I'm going to try to keep this level. Okay. All right. Oh, you know what I forgot are the little rhinestones. So grab some rhinestones. And I used the small size, and you're just going to add some wherever you would like. There's 3 there, and then I'm going to grab my other card, which I forgot to add the rhinestones to that one. There we go. Just add a little extra bling. All right, and for the third card, so I did use a couple more supplies that I had. So I will walk you through that. So it's a really basic layout, but what I added was some heat embossing in the back. Can you see how that shines? And it's just some black embossing powder that I used. And I wanted it because this is so shiny, and then I thought, oh, that'd be so cute to have those little skeletons kind of appear when you look at the card. So that black on black is really fun. Okay, so we've got the Pumpkin Pie Cardstock again, and this time we're going to use a black card front, and then another circle, same size, and another, this is a 1/4 of an inch by 2 inches, and then flagged, and we're going to be using that as well from our stash. So let's go ahead and do the black. So normally when I do heat embossing, I want to use the chalk, the embossing buddy. But when you do that with black, let me show you what happens. So you get a different look. So it really makes it like a chalkboard. So you don't get that really nice strong black. It's more of a muted gray with like a chalky finish on it. So I didn't like that. So I went ahead and did this without adding any embossing buddy. And so you might get some powder that lingers on your cardstock. So if that happens, then just kind of use your finger or a little brush to kind of brush those off. Okay, so we're going to be using our skeleton bodies again, and we're going to be using both. So the same thing, one on each side so that you can rotate through. And then we're using Versamark. Now it's going to be hard to see where you are stamping because Versamark is sticky. And the reason we're going to use Versamark is so that I can stamp the whole thing and it will stay sticky and it won't dry before I get the powder on it. But it's really hard to kind of see where you've stamped on black. So we're just going to get started. So I'm going to just kind of try to remember where I have stamped and just kind of rotate through. Sometimes, you know, if you hold it up, you can see a faint image. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I can see a little bit of a faint image if I've kind of forgotten where I've stamped these guys. And it doesn't totally matter if, you know, they're, you know, overlapping or if there's more of a gap than you wanted. Okay, so I just did 4 at the bottom. And now I'm on my second layer. I know this is kind of hard to see, I'm sorry. And then I think I've got, let's go this way. So just kind of try to rotate the direction that your little skeleton dudes are in, so they're kind of got a fun personality to them. Let's see. And you're wanting to cover the whole thing. All right. Okay, so once you're done with that, then you're going to grab your embossing powder. So embossing powder is messy. So I like to use one of these like Tupperware things to hold it in so I can kind of scoop it. But then I also put a tray underneath it because it just makes a mess. And I don't really want it all over the place. Okay, so this is just black embossing powder. And you're just going to pour it on and in sections. Just kind of take a look, make sure it's your images are well coated in powder. And then switch sides. So even though this is time consuming, it is totally worth it. I love this black on black look for this card. It's really, really cute. Okay. So it looks like I've got a little bit of a thumbprint right here. Do you see that? And so I'm just going to leave it and probably cover it up with something. It's probably from my sticky fingers, but I think it's going to be, well, I could probably find a little brush. Let's see. So I've got this little brush. Maybe I'll try brushing some of these pieces. So all you have to do is just find a brush, use a little bit, like blow on it, to kind of get it to come off. So it's tricky because you don't want to ruin any of the other images. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to try to get his shape of his little lungs and his pelvic bone. And then probably just brush off any extra. There we go. That turned out okay. All right, so let's go ahead and let's heat that up so we get that nice shiny look. And I like to heat from the bottom, and the reason for that is because then it won't blow any of my embossing powder off before it's all heated up. Okay, so I've heat embossed that, and you know it's done because it gets shiny. It melts and becomes all beautiful like this. Okay, so we've got our embossed, we're all done with the embossing, and we're going to go ahead and put our card together. So these little white strips are from the back of this because I put it down and then needed to do it over because I did not do it the right way. So you're just going to layer this cute little striped paper on top, and then you're going to take your linen thread, the last one, and we're going to wrap it around this card front. So you're just going to start with one end on the back and then just wrap 3 times and then apply that there. And then you can kind of move pieces as you want. I'm going to try to put one right where that crease is just to kind of hide that crease. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and add it to our card base. And I already have snail on it because, like I said earlier, I was putting things together, but not in the right order. Okay, so open it up, rub on the back, just to make sure everything is nice and adhered. And then let's go ahead and put down our vellum piece. And I'm just going to use some snail where I'm going to put those cute little skeletons. And so that's just kind of, I'm kind of leaving about 1/4 of an inch or so on each side. So that just goes in the middle. And then you're going to grab your pieces from the kit. Now they give us a lot of skeletons, more than we needed to make the boxes. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use one of these little gravestones and 2 skeletons for this card. If they come out. There's one. Okay, 2. And then we're not using a label because we're going to use the gravestone. So these we're just adding with some dimensionals. I just put one in the head and one in the lower body. I think that is enough to hold these guys down. And we're just going to place the first one kind of up on top, giving us a little wave. And then the second one down a little lower. Right there. Okay, so we're going to use now the little strip of gorgeous grape. And we're going to stamp the trick or treat stamp in our little gravestone. Gravestone. And that just centered. And then we're going to add some dimensionals. Just kind of in the center. And then that just gets centered over our little strip. And then you can add glue dots or snail. And that will go right down here. Oops. Okay. And lastly, we're going to add those cute rhinestones just to give it a little pop of bling. Still using the small size. There we go. Really fun card. I love the shiny of the stripes and then that really subtle shine from the skeleton stamp with the heat emboss in black. So love it. So a little more work on this card. You need a couple more supplies, but I think it's totally worth it. It turns out really cute. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit creativechelsea.com for more information about Paper Pumpkin and to start getting your monthly kit. Have a creative day. Bye.